What's going on, everyone? It is November 8th, 2025. It's Saturday, and the question is, why am I making this video since I don't trade on Saturday? Well, I'll tell you the truth. It's weekend cleanup time. And I decided, because the last video that I made, my ETH chart looked so gross, I decided it's time to clean it up. So I figured I'd make a video showing how I'm going to clean up my chart and basically set up my chart so that it works for the future. Right? And this is going to be more kind of a little bit of a setup so that you can do on your side. So yeah, let's jump in. First of all, I can't pass by Bitcoin to not mention the fact that we've lost a little bit of volume here on the weekend. Just like I was saying before. Oh man, my tools are not set up. Hold on a second. Hold on. Does this work? No, my goodness. Give me 1 second. I gotta crash a program real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me crash this program. Oh, actually, that's the wrong theme music. It probably should be like. All right, let's check if the tool works. Yeah, we did it. Okay, cool. We fixed it. I just had to get the A team up on there. All right, so anyway, I'm not going to pass by this chart. Yesterday, I mentioned the weekend action is going to create some kind of volume droppage. And yeah, that's exactly what's happening. We are volume droppaging right now, the droppages. So yeah, and it is, so come on, yellow line, let's go. We'll continue this whole thing on Monday, hopefully. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this ETH chart because this is the focus of our nonsensical weekend cleanup crew, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up getting rid of everything here. Bing! And we're going to start fresh, right? And this is going to be something that I feel will be a little bit more educational for you guys to kind of follow along, set up your plans, do all sorts of, knick-knack, paddywhack, give yourself a bone, yeah. So, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the tops, right? I'm going to find the tops, and I'm going to try to find the connecting tops, right? So that's going to be my first line. So we're going to find the range first. So there we go. That's fine. Done. Probably the easiest thing in the whole process, right? Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find an area where we've got connecting bottom lines, right? I'm going to find, let's see here, we've got a bounce over here, but we've got this at the low here, we've got this at the low, and we've got this at the low, right? So I'm going to connect these lines together now. So let's connect them. Cool. So that's the range. We want to make sure that we're kind of touching. Touch. These guys look good. They're kind of flush up against. These guys are poking over a little bit, which is all right, right? This is poking out a little bit, and this is poking down. That's fine, right? So let's jump into the next part. So once we've got these lines, the top and the bottom, I'm going to pull a fib. Let's pull a fib here. Now, I'm not going to get complicated with this fib. What I'm only looking for is the middle line from the bottom of the range to the top of the range. So I will grab the middle of the line here. So here's a 50% line. You don't have to be a guru for this. This is not Guru Nation, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and make a box for the golden pocket. The golden pocket falls between the 6.5 and the 6.18. So you can see it right there. Let's color that out a little bit. Let's make it gold so that we know what we're talking about, right? So I'm gonna delete this Fibonacci. Then I'm gonna take another Fibonacci. I'm gonna go in reverse. So instead of it being 100 up here, it's 100 down below. And I'm gonna find the other golden pocket. So I'm just gonna make a copy of this, put that right there. Looks like I grabbed something. Stop clicking things. There we go, just like this. Right? So you see that? So let me do it again. From the bottom to the top, we got the middle golden pocket. Delete. From the top to the bottom, golden pocket, middle of the line. Delete. Okay, so what I want to do then is now I have this range that's forming. I want to grab out some clusters, right? So you see this right over here? This is a cluster. It's actually a change of direction, but you can see there's like this little cluster over here, right there. Notice that this guy and this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box down here for the bottom of the range. So here we go. I'm going to highlight those clusters and pull them out, just like so. I'm going to make sure they're kind of at the top of these. Let's go right there. Make it at the top. Notice that I've got this. I'm not zooming in yet, but you could see like I got like it's this guy, that guy right there. All right, we're going to let the candles really kind of like set up our chart. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the top. The top will be a little bit different. What we're going to do is we are going to, no, it's going to be the same. We're going to grab the clusters on the very top as well. And you could see that what I used was, here is the touch, here's a touch, here's a touch. And yeah, this kind of like fills in this. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like move this up just a little bit because I'd rather, nah, let's leave it like that. It's fine. That's fine. Okay, cool. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Now, there's one other thing that we need to do here. Let's start to color these out. I'm going to make this red. The reason why is because most likely this is a short zone, right? This is where resistance is. I mean, that's pretty clear. Down here, I'm going to set this to green because this is where support is. But what I like to do is I like to make like little notes for myself as I'm doing this. Now, I don't have any pressure because I'm not trading right now. So I just moved this line down a little to be flush with this guy. I want to be flush with this guy right here. I like that guy. He's sweet. That's my target, right? So now what we have is we have a range. This looks like a pretty clear range. And because we marked out the golden pocket, we marked out the 50% range, and this golden pocket going down, we can actually see where the resistance is. Look at this. Look, resistance on the golden pocket, right? Oh, support, support, support. This is not like, I didn't plan this. I didn't, like you just saw, based off of support and resistance off of the top and the bottom, we are now starting to see a little bit more of a story. Right? Look at this, golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket, golden pocket. Yo, what's going on there? Okay, so anyway, let's label these. It's important to label these, but I want to label these in a way that it's kind of like I'm giving myself some notes. This is the short area. Let's pop that over to the side. Now, I want you to understand, this is not, I'm not giving myself notes as to kind of like this is what the chart does. This is long area. This is what the chart does in this section. I mean, I'm not just saying like, I'm not making up words here, you know, right? You could see, once it hit over here, this was considered a long. Hit over here, this was considered a long. So why not label it the long section? Why not label it the short section? The other thing we'll label is the 50% line right here. We'll label this 50% line. I won't label a golden pockets, but what I will do is I'm going to label this green. No, I'm a color green label. That didn't change color because obviously I was on the text. Meatball. Okay, so let me go here. There we go. And I'm going to make this one red. Now, why am I doing that? Because if this rejects over here and kind of comes through here, this is kind of the golden pocket that it's going to come through. Meaning like I basically paired this one up with that one and I paired this one up with this one. The reason why is because usually when it starts to come down, we might actually have some kind of reaction on this just before it goes down a little bit. So I like to kind of, you know, cross them up there. So yeah, this looks pretty clean to me. That's much better. Now let's talk about this one right over here. So this is where we start going into the other sections, right? So before I start doing anything fancy, what I want to do is I want to look to the left, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, not this one. Yeah, let's just take this one. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to pull this out. Now, look at this. This is where you find some more information that you normally wouldn't, you know, most people normally don't look for. Look at this. This was rejection, 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 rejection. This was a fake out, a fake out, a fake out, right? So if that's the case, could this section start to become support? This is relevant. So I am double checking my work now based off of the past. Also, if I take this 50% line, wow, if we take this 50% line and I pull it out, yo, how did that happen? How'd that happen? That's some sweetness right there. Okay, this, let's see, what date is this? This is, yeah, this is January. January Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so this whole range is relevant. Now let's talk about like we're going down, right? Because what we do need to do is we need to kind of chart the previous range. So this cluster right here becomes a point. So I'm going to take this cluster and I'm going to pull it out. Notice where we bounced right off of that cluster. See right there? So that means that this cluster must have been a significant point in the chart from a previous range. So here's the previous range right over here. We take the tops, we connect them, just like so. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pull this down a little bit. There we go. This is the top of the previous range. So if I come over here and I kind of like map this out in boxes, this is a range right here. And this right here, really, this green line is the top of the previous range, and this red area is an order block that we need to pay attention to. Notice that there's a little bit of airtime here, like there's not really any candles that overlap on this side and this side over here. So this is a fair value gap. And if this is a fair value gap, what usually happens on a fair value gap is the fair value gap, just like the candles with long wicks on them, they need to be filled out, right? And if you see, look, if I kind of like highlight this area right here, look, it was filled out by this section. But again, this created another fair value gap. So, oh, surprise, surprise, we filled it in. So my chart is now starting to look pretty clean. I'm liking it. I think that if we get below this section right over here, we are going into the previous range. This is the previous range right over here. So we won't touch that yet. We'll leave this just like this because I feel like this is a good, setup, right? To see exactly where we currently are. And if you notice, I also mentioned before that I was looking for it to kind of like bounce around here. Well, because I made this range and I cleaned it up, let's actually see where my long was. Let's turn that visible again. Here it is right here. That's the long. There was another long here. Ah, there we go. That's it. That's my setup. Everything's looking pretty good. Okay. Well, that's it. That's it. My ETH chart is now clean. Okay. It's important that you do this yourself. It's cool that you watch me do it, but this will give you a little bit of eyes. This will give you eyes to see. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change this. I'm going to make this gray, because I'm not really sure what the deal is here. I mean, it's an order block. It was tapped for sure, but this might actually be part of the bottom of the range now. This whole thing actually might be this whole thing might be a range. So I'm going to have this a question mark for now, because this section right here, this actually might be the bottom of the range. But I'm not going to play it like that because we don't have enough points to say that that is the bottom of the range. We've got two. We've got this here, and we now have a sliver. But if it does come back over here, down here, if it comes down here to try to kind of like take this guy out over here, then I would call this long, and I would shift some of these things down a little bit, right? Because our 50% line will shift. It'll probably, actually the 50% line might actually shift over here. But I'm going to leave it for now because this is where our range was. Because we've got one touch, two touch, and now we're kind of building, this whole section here is more relevant as a range rather than including this guy. This is more of we had a fair value gap over here and we needed to fill it in again, and we filled it in. But I almost guarantee we will see this section somewhere along the line. So I'll leave it for now, right? Okay, guys, that's it. That's my weekend cleanup. Hope you found that helpful. Now we can look at this chart with a little bit more pizzazz, instead of looking at a chart that looks like, this, and I tell you that, yeah, it's probably going to bounce off this line. Anyway, have a good weekend, guys. I'll talk to you on Monday. Bye.